Our next session is on social media, and I've got asked the social media panelists to come to the stage. This is an area that's very close to my heart. When I started my company 5 years ago, I didn't even have a shoestring budget. I had no budget at all. And I think we've heard about cloud computing this morning. There's a number of major changes happening to the world, and social media is one of the huge positive changes in my mind. I think the difference now is that people can build their own audience, and it's gone from broadcasting to what I call narrowcasting. So if you've got a couple of thousand people who are really plugged into what you have to say, it's very powerful. The moderator of this session is Niall Devitt. Niall is known to me from Twitter, actually, before I met him here today, and he will introduce the panel.
Hi everybody, good morning, nice to be here. It's unusual when people say that to me now. I recognise you from Twitter or Facebook and you don't look like your picture. I never know quite what to make of that. I suppose I just want to get a quick show of hands, if you don't mind, because I know that social media tends to divide particularly business people, right? And on one hand you have people who believe that it's this wonderful, fantastic, thing, and on the other hand you have people who are, I suppose, entirely sceptical and don't really treat it as something serious. So I'm ideally looking to, I suppose, target some of this session at the skeptics out there. So if you're not too embarrassed, could you put your hand up, please, if you're a social media skeptic? Okay. We have a few, right? Just in terms of my own background, that's where I started off with social media. I was an out social media skeptic, right? Needless to say, someone asked me at the start, someone in the States who recommended that I get involved in social media, and because I had a lot of respect for this person, I got involved with social media. But I went in there with the idea that this is a whole load of rubbish, and I'm going to learn within 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 months that it's really quite useless. I'm delighted to say that I was able to prove myself wrong, right? And I ended up getting clients from social media very, very quickly. And as I got clients from social media, I started to take it more seriously and more seriously, and learn and learn and learn. My own background, as I say, is John came across me through a group called Social Media Ireland. I also have a blogging network which is called Blogathon. It was a group of people that came together in the small business community, and that blog network has grown in the last couple of years to now be Ireland's biggest blog network. And just a couple of weeks ago, a lady in the States called Anita Campbell, who's a big player in the digital space over there, bought a majority share in Blogathon. So again, it's about collaboration, and it's about starting at a space that was sceptical and getting to here. Okay, just before I introduce you to the panel, just the task that John, I suppose, gave me today was threefold, right? Was to explain to people what social media is, right? To give people practical examples and things that they could take away, so stuff that you can implement tomorrow or the day after. And again, the way in which we're going to do that is we have a couple of really good case studies, and there's going to be a Q&A session as well at lunchtime. So for any of you guys out there that have questions for the panel later, you'll be able to come back and do that. Let me just, before we start here, introduce the panel. I'm working, guys. Okay, that's myself. This handsome gentleman in the middle is a gentleman called Frank Hennigan, right? I didn't know which company to put down because Frank is involved with that many. Frank is a serial entrepreneur, he's an investor, and he's a startup mentor, and he's one of the most savvy people that I know in terms of this space. Because he really thinks outside of the box. Niall Harbison, unfortunately, couldn't be with us today. He's unwell, and we'll be lucky that Sarah Sheeran has stepped into the lurch for us, and Sarah brings a lot of big brand experience in terms of social media. Right? John Breslin, next to Sarah. John has been in this space for a long time. He's a director of boards. He set up New Tech Post, and I know you're also moving into the mobile space as well now, John. And right here beside me is John Twohig. John is a founder of a group called the Hain Group, and John is going to present a case study later on. It's called IRL Day, which that's how I came across John at the start. So guys, what I want to do is just give you guys an opportunity to fill in some of the blanks there. So just for you to introduce yourselves in relation to who you are and anything that I've left out.
Niall has covered it really. I'm the founder co-founder with Andrew Townley, who's chaired the cloud discussion earlier on, of a company called the Hain Group. We're consultancy firm, and we're concentrating on the social business space. And I'm going to talk about something that we ran earlier on in the year, which was a Twitter event which coincided with President Obama's visit to Ireland, called #IRL Day.
Okay, Frank?
I'm happy. You got me cold. I love being called savvy.
Okay, cool.
Last time somebody said that was my mum. So,
John? What have I left out?
No, not too much. So I'm a lecturer in NUI Galway. I teach in engineering and informatics. I spent some time working with a big research institute here in Galway called DERI, which is the Digital Enterprise Research Institute. They do work in this thing called the semantic web, which is next generation web. I suppose an interesting thing to say about social media is that it's been around for a lot longer than the term social media.
Absolutely.
So, actually I suppose my first foray into this area was in 1998. So I was a student and I played a lot of computer games. And I set up a forum online to talk about computer games. And that grew into boards.ie, which is now one of Ireland's biggest websites. In fact, it's probably Ireland's biggest social media website, if you can call it online discussions social media. It gets about 2 million visitors a month and 35 million page views. And that's pretty much it.
My name is Zara Sheeran. I run Mint Digital, a digital marketing agency. My background would have been in the big ad agencies in London and Dublin, working on brands such as Audi, Meteor, Jameson, Sony. So for me, it's been interesting to see the big shift in brands moving from microsites to social media. So they're no longer asking people to go to them, they're going to where they are.
Okay, thanks. Again, I'm going to ask you guys for a show of hands here, just to give us a better insight into the types of companies and business people that we're dealing with. So just quickly, I'm just wondering, how many people here are in the B2B space? Okay, about half. So the rest of you guys are B2C. How many people are involved with export-led businesses? Okay. And just in relation to the social media then, and again, you can just put your hands up. I'm just wondering, how many people here are on LinkedIn?
yes.
Okay, everyone. It tends to be the entry social media for business people. What about Twitter? Okay. Facebook?
Kind of.
YouTube? And Google Plus, which is probably with the tech. Oh, we've a lot. Okay. I probably should ask in honour of John and myself as well, just many people here blogging in terms of business. Okay. And how many people are on boards that Okay, so we have a very much a social media savvy audience, right? The next bit here, and again, it's obviously it's not all about the numbers, but I think for people who are maybe not familiar, it is a good idea to just give you some idea of, I suppose, the success of what this is. So again, I pulled some figures here from the blog, from New World's blog, and again, so Twitter is now used by 11% of the Irish population, right? In 2010, YouTube had 1.3 million regular Irish users. 49% of the population over 15 years of age are now on Facebook. The average Irish person spends 4 hours 10 minutes on Facebook per month, right? There are just under 2 million Irish profiles on Facebook, and Ireland has the second, highest penetration of LinkedIn users in the world, right? And you can see there's just under 500,000 LinkedIn profiles.